I want to say I noticed something was wrong before the bank called. I didn't. I was too busy being grateful. Diane, my mother-in-law, never screamed or hit. What she did was smaller, correcting how I loaded the dishwasher in my own kitchen, telling Naomi I seemed tired lately, like it was a flaw she diagnosed out of love, giving gifts that came with invoices nobody mentioned out loud. I told myself this was just how some mothers were. Naomi loved her completely, and I loved Naomi, so the math seemed simple. We'd been married 3 years when the first card showed up. I found it on our credit report, a department store card, $4,000 limit, opened 2 months earlier. I called Naomi over. She looked confused, said it wasn't her, and we called the company together. Opened online, verified using her social security number and her mother's maiden name as the security answer. Anyone could find that, Naomi said. Mom's maiden name is basically public. Reasonable enough. We disputed it, froze our credit, moved on. Diane talked about money the way other people talked about weather, constantly, with the confidence that the forecast would eventually turn. Divorced 20 years, always one disaster from catastrophe, always pitching some new business. She'd asked us for money 4 times in 3 years. Naomi said yes 3 times. I pushed back once, hard, on a candle business investment. We gave her the money anyway. She's my mom, Naomi said, like that settled it. I didn't resent it then. I'd grown up in a quieter family, and there was something almost beautiful to me about Naomi's fierce, unconditional devotion. This is what loving someone looks like, I told myself. The second card appeared 4 months later. A personal line of credit, $6,000, 4 already drawn down. I called the lender myself this time, without telling Naomi first. The funds were transferred via ACH to an external account within 48 hours, the rep said. A different institution than the one on file. She gave me a name before catching herself. Heritage Trust. I didn't recognize it. I wrote it on a sticky note and put it in a drawer. Naomi cried real tears in the car after we filed the police report. Who would do this to us? She said, shoulders shaking. I believed every bit of it. Weeks later, at Sunday dinner, Diane mentioned a friend who'd switched banks. Heritage Trust, she said. Much better service. You two are all big bank people. I looked up, let it go. What was I going to do? Accuse my mother-in-law of fraud over chicken? I drove home that night with Naomi asleep against the window and felt a wave of tenderness for this woman who loved her difficult mother so completely she'd cried real tears over a theft I assumed was a stranger's doing. I had no idea I was looking at one half of the fraud. In the following months, Naomi started taking calls from her mother behind a closed bedroom door. Not every call, but a few times a month. Always mom stuff. Always 15 or 20 minutes. I told myself this was normal. Mothers and daughters have private languages. The alternative felt like an accusation I had no right to make. I didn't track how many of those closed-door calls happened right before a new account appeared on our credit file. I didn't have the data set yet. I was just a man living his life, irritated in small ways by his mother-in-law, devoted in large ways to his wife. Money started leaving our joint savings in small amounts too. $1,100 in June. Mom needed help with her car registration. $300 in August, her electric bill. Always explained after the fact. Always tied to Diane, always specific enough to sound true and vague enough to be unverifiable. You should tell me before you move money like that, I said once gently. I know, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. It happened again anyway. I didn't add the numbers up formally. A sum would have demanded a response, and I was a man who loved his wife and didn't want to spend his marriage building a forensic case against her. So I didn't. Not yet. I went on loving her with the same uncomplicated devotion, while underneath that devotion, something else was quietly being built. A structure made of small loans and closed doors, and a bank across town I'd written on a sticky note, and mostly forgotten. The way you forget a splinter once it's worked too deep to hurt. It would take one more year, one more card, and a single overheard sentence, 4 words, in a voice I knew better than my own, before I finally understood what I'd been living inside the whole time.